Welcome friends to the 2023 Honda Pilot review. We are checking out the Trailsport trim level. Let's first talk about what's new for the 2023 Pilot. Well, this is a fully redesigned SUV, and they are saying that this is better in every way compared to the previous generation, and they are not capping. That is absolutely true. Honda really went to town when they redesigned this Pilot. It really is better in every way. It's bigger, you got more space, more legroom, better performance, more refinements. So yeah, it's quieter, drives better, all that. That's all very true. But what do you get for the 2024 Honda Pilot? Well, it's pretty much a carryover. The only change is the 2024 Pilot costs more than the 23s. So there is that. Anyway, comment below. Let me know your thoughts regarding the looks of this new redesigned Pilot. I personally really like the front end of this. It does look kind of like a Ford Explorer, but the rear end, it's not really my most favorite. However, does looks really matter with a product like this? No, I just think it needs to perform well, and it just needs to accommodate a large family. So with that, let's go ahead and let's transition over into the driving segment. We have here a proper, naturally aspirated, dual overhead cam V6. Still a J-Series engine, however, I love the way they have this engine tuned and set up. And it's made it to Honda's own 10-speed automatic transmission. All of this is perfectly executed, all right? This engine actually has a more premium growl to it, okay? It doesn't sound like an economy engine at all. Both around town driving and on the highway, this product does a great job in giving you the power that you need. In the city, you can just breathe on the throttle and you're off and going. There's no drama with it. On the highway, this thing has pretty good pulling power. However, because this thing actually sounds decent, you don't mind revving it out. It's not making a disgusting economy car racket. So definitely the best sounding engine in its class. Honda also says that this is the most powerful Pilot ever made. It's got 285 horsepower, 262 pounds-feet of torque. It's got 5 more horsepower than the previous generation, but that's not really the point. I'm actually going to do a comparison video with the 2023 Nissan Pathfinder as well. On paper, the Pathfinder is quicker than this Pilot. I think it's one of the quickest SUVs in the 3-row class, but it doesn't really matter because, again, on paper specs doesn't tell you everything. As I already stated before, I like the power delivery of this, and I like the smoothness and the tone of the engine. All right, other things. I should mention this because we're driving this Trailsport trim level. You do have some legitimate changes here. With this model, this Trailsport is going to sit up 1 inch higher than a regular Honda Pilot. It's also going to come with off-road tuned shocks, and you also get these all-terrain tires, which these are the Continental all-terrains, and they are so quiet. So you also have a steel skid plate underneath this vehicle, and yeah, it's got some decent off-road capabilities, but you know, let's be honest, you're buying this primarily because you like the way that it looks. But the point is, this should be the most unrefined Pilot, yet this thing is quiet. It's so comfortable. However, this ride quality is not going to make anyone car sick, okay? It's not wallowy. It is not jostling people around. People are not falling and toppling over each other when you're taking your everyday left-hand, right-hand turns. No. Honda has done a phenomenal job in striking the perfect balance in terms of comfort and also great driving dynamics. This is just a on-point product. Really appreciate this. You should also definitely get the all-wheel drive version of the Pilot. for many reasons. One, because it unlocks the 5,000 pound towing capability of the Pilot, so that's pretty useful. Also, it can help with the residual value when you go to sell it in the future, but mainly because you also get this very intelligently designed all-wheel drive system with this special differential, which can now send more power more quickly than the previous generation all-wheel drive Pilots. What does that mean to you? Well, this Pilot is doing a phenomenal job of putting down its power to the road. That's one of the reasons why this vehicle handles so well. This large SUV, when you take it around corners, it really feels like it's pivoting around the turns. And it really just adds to the confidence that you have in this massive vehicle. And it helps not only in the dry, but also in the wet, in the snow, in all conditions. This Pilot is going to be very confidence inspiring. But the only thing that I noticed is the steering on this Pilot. It's way too light. It almost doesn't match the excellent driving characteristic of this Pilot. Again, that could be because we have the Trailsport here with the all-terrain tires and sitting up an inch higher with the off-road shocks. I think maybe if you got a standard Pilot, which is what I recommend, I think the steering could be a little bit tighter, because right now, I mean, this thing even has some play in the steering. So that's the only real con that I've noticed driving the new Pilot. You do have a sport mode here that you can put it into, and the steering does tighten up a little bit. However, now the transmission is too reactive, and it's always putting you in a lower gear, and it's destroying your fuel economy. So I don't really recommend driving in the sport mode on a daily basis, because this thing, the Trailsport at least, already does not get the best fuel economy. 18 in the city, 23 on the highway. You go with a regular Pilot, all-wheel drive, that should get 19 city, 25 highway, and you can use regular fuel. But anyway, I wish they would give you a custom mode where you can stiffen up the steering and leave everything else in a normal mode. But whatever. The average driver is not going to notice or care. Actually, the average driver might even like the super light steering, because it's easy to whip this SUV around. I mean, in general, this Pilot feels small to drive. I love it when massive vehicles are able to pull off this trait where they feel smaller than they really are. I said the same thing about the Chevrolet Suburban and a couple of other large full-size sedans. I love it when they feel half their size. So it's easy to manage around town, and also I was able to bust really tight U-turns in this Pilot. I think this Trailsport is about 200 inches long total, and the standard Pilot is maybe 199 inches. So you should be able to fit this inside of a garage. Could be a little tight, but should be able to fit this in a regular car garage. Anyway, let's go ahead and let's transition over into the interior segment. Okay, now that we are stopped, let's go ahead and talk about this interior space. But before we do, we should cover the trim level so you have a better idea and understanding of what you're going to be getting with the Pilot interior. Okay, I already mentioned in the drive that I would recommend getting a all-wheel drive EXL trim level. I think that is the best value proposition in the Honda Pilot lineup. That's going to set you back about $45,000. This Trailsport is around 50 grand, and if you want to step it up, you could get the touring model. That's also going to be around 50, and the fully loaded Elite, that's going to be around $54,000. The base model LX and the Sport trim levels, they are going to come with a 7-inch infotainment screen. And when you go with the EXL trim levels and up, you get the acoustic laminated front windshield. But with the Touring and with the Elite models, you will also get the acoustic laminated side glass as well. We have here just regular single pane glass with this Trailsport. However, it's a pretty thick piece of glass, and honestly, there's not a huge amount of wind noise coming through. So once again, that's why I'm saying you don't really have to step up to the Touring or the Elite unless you just happen to like the features that those higher trim levels have to offer. The only other thing I noticed with the Elite models is that's the fully loaded Pilot. You do get slightly thicker carpet with that, thicker than all the other trim levels. But compared to the previous generation Honda Pilot, the carpet that they are using here is thicker in general compared to before. But the Elite is just a little bit more so to help absorb tire noise, road noise a little bit better. How much is that going to help? I have no idea. But you can get the 12-speaker Bose audio system with either the Touring or the Elite, and you don't get that here with this Trailsport, nor do you need it, because the standard audio system sounds pretty amazing for what it is. It's clear, it's got good bass. I am really shocked and really pleased with how well this audio system, this bass audio system, is performing. So for once, I really don't think the average family needs to step up to those higher trims to get the Bose audio if you like your music. But if you see something in the higher trim levels that you like and you have money, go for it, by all means. Anyway, let's talk about this interior space. Overall, I love the layout in here. It's simplistic, it's ergonomic. Your climate control, it's totally separated from this infotainment screen here. With the EXLs and up, you should be getting this 9-inch screen with wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. It works perfectly, no glitches. The infotainment responds quickly. I love it. However, the screen just looks really small compared to the rest of this massive dashboard. The Pilot interior is huge, and this infotainment screen, it looks like a Nintendo DS slapped onto this front dash here. So I wish they would have given you like a 12.3-inch screen or something, but again, not a big deal, just a small gripe. Other small gripes, I mean, they are using this piano black plastic all throughout this interior as an accent. I can't really complain too hard because almost every car manufacturer is doing this, and fortunately it doesn't smudge, but it does show all of the dust particles. All right, we do have a wireless charging pad here. However, if you're driving the Pilot more aggressively, your phone is just going to slide out. So I wish they would give you a more secure spot to put your phone for the wireless charging. Anyway, the doors feel really solid when you open and close them. You have one-touch up and down windows for all 4 windows. Plenty of space in the door pockets along with the center armrest. I mean, that is huge. However, the glove box is not that big, but you do have this kind of cubby space on top of the glove box here. I suppose that helps. With this Trailsport, we got a heated steering wheel here with the heated front seats. I think if you go with the fully loaded Elite, you will get heated and cooled front seats and heated seats in the second row. You also get a heads-up display and a 10.2-inch digital gauge cluster with the Elite. None of that stuff is really necessary. The gauge cluster that we have here is perfectly fine. You have a big pano sunroof with this Trailsport. You have this secondary mirror that shows you a perfect view of your rear occupants, so you can keep an eye on your kids in the back. So I think that's just really well done. And before we move on, I just wanted to talk about these seats. These are completely redesigned for this new Pilot, and they are so comfortable. They look good. I like the Trailsport stitching and the orange stitching all throughout these seats. That looks great. You have decent lumbar support, and in general, these seats do a pretty good job of keeping you in place and being comfortable. So I love that. So let's move on to the rear second row seats now. And with this Trailsport, it comes exclusively with captain's chairs. With the EXL trim that I recommend, you have the option of getting it with captain's chairs, or you can get a bench. And that way you can sit up to 8 people in the Pilot. With the Touring and the Elite, I really like what they do. You can actually fold the middle seat down and stow it underneath, and that way you have the best of both worlds. The Touring and the Elite can be a bench seat vehicle, or it can be a captain's chair type vehicle. I thought that was brilliant. I wish they would just do that for all of the Pilots. But anyway, I have plenty of legroom in the second row. Headroom is not an issue in any of the rows. You have your own HVAC back there in the second row, and also accessing the third row, it's really not too bad. I can climb back there, and I am 5'11", and I can fit in all 3 rows without too many issues. If the second row people can just move up a little bit more, then I would be really comfortable in the third row. But for the most part, yeah, I can do like 25-30 minutes in the third row. It's not a big deal. So that means your children should easily be able to fit in the third row. And trunk space is not bad. Obviously, with all of these 3-row SUVs, if you have that third row up, it's going to limit your trunk space, but you put them down and you have acres of space. Also, you have a tray that you can lift up and you can stow more things in the trunk that way, and your spare tire is located underneath the vehicle. So overall, nice, big, practical package and a brilliant redesign from Honda. So let's go ahead and let's conclude. All right, concluding thoughts on this new Honda Pilot. Obviously, as you can see, I am a huge fan of this vehicle. It drives great, comes with a massive interior, and there's just a few little qualms that I noticed. I mean, the steering is a little bit light and a couple of little interior things, but outside of that, this is a brilliant vehicle and a very safe one as well. Not just in terms of the safety features, which is great, but in a crash test, you can be rest assured that your family will be safe. In fact, this is a IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus. And since we're on the topic of safety, I didn't mention this before, but there is a bit of confusion on the Honda websites regarding the base LX trim level and the blind spot monitoring and the rear cross traffic alert. On the consumer website, where you typically go to build the vehicle and things of that nature, it tells you that the base model will come with blind spot and rear cross traffic. However, on the journalist websites that I use, Honda says that the base LX will not come with blind spot or rear cross traffic. So either way, I don't recommend the base model. But if someone in the comment section could clear that confusion up, can you please let us know if the 2023 Honda Pilot LX, will that come with blind spot and rear cross traffic? I would really appreciate that. Please let us know below. Anyway, the vehicle is great. Again, you should be paying around 45 grand for an EXL all-wheel drive. You could perhaps negotiate a $2,000 discount on these SUVs, and I would really encourage you to do that, because the Pilot is a great product, but it is one of the more expensive vehicles in its class. Honda typically is the most expensive vehicle in its class. So if you can get that $2,000 discount, just reach out to your local dealership's general manager. If you can find their email them politely, asking for a $2,000 discount on one of their in-stock Honda Pilot units that you are interested in, and hopefully they go for it. If you are interested in leasing a Honda Pilot, I will have a free leasing calculator linked in the description box for you to check out, so you can see the interest rate on the lease before you go to negotiate with the dealership. But that's my full look at the new Honda Pilot SUV. I'm also going to do a comparison video with the Nissan Pathfinder as well, so stay tuned. But thank you so much for watching. If this video was valuable to you, consider liking and subscribing. Take care and goodbye.